Welcome back to the wood shop of Wood Spun Around. This is Doug. I promised a while back that I would do a sanding video, and I'm going to get started on that today. I've got a bowl here that I'm working on for another project, but I wanted, as we're getting started with the sanding process, wanted to stop and kind of separate this part out, so I don't have to do this repeatedly on every video that I do. It just makes those videos so stinking long. One of the things you're hearing right now in the background is my air cleaner. It's a fan that I've encased in a box. I've got a normal furnace filter on it, but then I've got one of the white pleated ones. I've forgotten now what my value is on that. The outer filter is getting ready to be changed shortly. And I'm thinking I'm going to go to one of the 4-inch box filters when I do, and I'll have to do a little reconfiguration on the whole thing when I get that. But it will filter that much better, and I say all that to say that I've got that going. That is a major part of my filtration system for when I'm sanding. I've also got sitting right beside the tripod of the camera, and that's what this is. This is hooked up to my shop vac. Normally when I'm sanding, when I'm here by myself, I turn that on when I sand, and that catches 90 to 95% of my dust anyway, and so I'm great. I've also got this RZ mask. RZ makes a great mask, a great filtration mask. It has replaceable filters. This this inner filter needs to be replaced. But I'm going to continue using it for right now. This is a piece of apple, pretty non-complicated, uncomplicating piece of wood, pretty benign. But we're going to sand. I want to show you a couple of things. I'm not going to put the mask on until we're actually ready to start sanding. Really 3 ways to sand, and I want to show those to you. One, of course, is by hand. What I use, and this is by no means an endorsement, these folks don't pay me at all. I buy my own sandpaper. The Rhino Grip, Indesa, Indasa, Abrasives makes this Rhino paper. It's a I don't know if they have other colors or not. This is what I buy. I buy this in large sheets. About 1 yard by 1 yard, 3 feet by 3 feet, and I cut them down into 2-inch squares. All of my pads, my sanding arbors, are 2-inch, and that's what I've just used over the years, what I've gotten used to. So I get that, I'd go over on the bandsaw. I use an old bandsaw blade, cut them into 2-inch squares. You can sand by hand, and I use the same sandpaper for everything I do, but sanding by hand, you know, you have your lathe spinning either forward or reverse, both, and you just hold the sandpaper against it. You want to keep it moving at all times. But this is great sandpaper to use for that. It's a little bit thicker. It's a heavier paper to begin with, and then you've got the loop side of the hook and loop on the back side. It gives a little extra padding. You can also use an old sanding pad. I've got one in my sanding box that I store my paper in. Sometimes I'll use that, especially if it's a piece that's got a lot of irregularities in it, just to protect my fingers a little bit, or if I'm getting hot. If you're getting hot using your hand, you're probably pressing too hard and sanding too fast. The second way I want to show you is with one of these. It's a Inertia Sander. This head spins around freely on a handle. Most of them are at 45 degrees. Some of them are 90 degrees. Some are at 45 degrees. I made this one. Inside here is a brass sleeve, bushing sort of thing, and underneath that is a magnetic bearing. So I can put that in there, that metal mandrel. I drop it in, it clicks in. It will not fall out unless I pull it out. It doesn't take much to pull it out. I could get several of those. But there again, you just take that same sandpaper, stick it on there. Here we go. Starting to get worn. I'm going to have to replace that before long. Anyway, and the the wood spinning around is what turns that, and so you have to find the sweet spot where it turns, but at the same time not only turning free, but also cutting your wood so that you're getting the best job possible. The third way I want to show you is with a drill. You can use a regular drill, an angled drill. This is one that I use especially when I'm by myself. Now, a lot of times the arbors for these are the same way. They'll have the hook side on here so that your loop side of your sandpaper can go on there. I'm using a different system, this thread lock system, that just about a half a turn or so, and it's hooked on there. The only issue with that is your drill can only go in forward direction. You cannot use reverse. Use reverse. If I put this in reverse and put just a little pressure on here, it comes right off. And so you're limited to forward only as far as the drill goes. You can still turn your lathe in reverse. So hand, inertia sander, or the drill. You got 3 ways of sanding. All 3 ways are good ways. You just have to find what works for you and what works the best. And so for me, what I find is that the inertia, I like the inertia on the back side, and I'll do hand if there's a problem area. Same on the inside. I don't like the inertia as much on the inside as I like the drill on the inside, because it gets so slow here in the center with the inertia sander. It's not very effective. So, as I put my mask on, I hope you can still understand me. I'm going to get my drill and my first pad. I like to start, I'm going to take this back off. Where am I? There I am. I like to start my sanding process. Right now I am starting with, what is that, 60? Yeah, 60 grit. A lot of people would say, oh, you're not using your tools right if you have to start at 60 grit. Well, I would start at 60 grit no matter how smooth this was. Partly because I want to make sure I have all the portions, every square inch of this wood will have the same starting point, and that's what 60 grit does for me. Then I'm going to go up to 320 grit. So I'm going to show you some of that. I won't show you all of that, but I will. Wherever I stop, I'm going to bring you back in when I get to the next place in the sanding process. So we start off with 60 grit. We'll turn the lathe speed down. We were turning at 1400. I'm going to turn the lathe speed to, there we go, 500. So relatively slowly. And I'm going to be sanding on this side of center. I'll be sanding at about 1:30, 2 o'clock. When I go to the right side, my right side, I'll be sanding at 5:30, 5:30. I think I told you wrong there. When I'm on my left of the bowl, I'm going to be hitting it with the left side of the sandpaper. So as the wood is going down, my paper is coming up. vice versa on the other side. I want the paper and the bowl going the opposite directions. One thing, it's easier on the bearings, but it also is more efficient in sanding your wood. One of the things you want to watch all the time whenever you're sanding, however you're sanding, you want to watch, make sure you're getting sawdust coming off, or sanding dust coming off. That shows you a couple of things. One is that your sandpaper is still working well, and you're not just, it shows you that you haven't worn out your sandpaper. Also that you're not burnishing the wood. You don't want to burnish with your sandpaper. That's for a later process. Right now what we're trying to do is take off the high spots and getting this all homogeneous across there, so that everything is same, so that it can take your finish equally all the way across. Every once in a while you need to stop, brush it out, blow it out, whatever you need to do, so you can see what you got. I've still got a little rough area down right through there. My glued up section is looking real good. It's still got a little ways to go to be clean. I want to get that stain off of there, and it'll go deep. This outer edge, I haven't done much on this edge, and I still want this transition area. So we're still working on 60. You get the picture. We're going to go on. I'm going to work at 60 a little while longer. Your first grit is the one that should take you the longest. You want everything to be the same top to bottom. Then you can progress through the grits, just getting it finer and finer, perfectly smooth before you start to do your finish. So I'll bring you back as we are finishing up the sanding process before we get into the next step of this process. A couple of things I just thought of that I should have mentioned earlier, that with your sandpaper, regardless of what brand you use, some of the best advice I ever got was from a long time turner, who's not with us any longer. But he made the statement one time use your sandpaper as if somebody else is paying for it. That is some very, very wise advice. Your sandpaper does get dull. Worn out 100 grit does not serve as 180 grit or 200 grit. And so, you know, as you use it, you know, I got brand new pieces for both using by hand and with the drill. It was all brand new before I started this video because what I had was getting dull. I had used it for a couple of projects. You know, I'll use it 2, sometimes 3 projects. It depends on what the project is, just to see, you know, just to use it. I don't want to be wasteful, but at the same time, I'm going to use what I need to use, and I'm going to throw it away when it's done its job. So I have sanded all of this all the way to 320. If I look very carefully with the light just right, I can see some very, very fine scratches. I could continue on up the grits, but here's what we're going to do. There it is. I am currently using Axe Abrasive Paste, and their restoring polish as well, or polish and restoring paste. That's what I'm currently using. I have been using my own homebrew of the abrasive paste, and it was working great. I could go back and make some more. That's not a problem. I've got all the ingredients available, but I wanted to give some of these others a try. That's a lot of work to make your own abrasive paste. It takes time, it takes some effort. You have to measure things. You don't have to be exact with them by any means, but you need to know what you got so you can change it if you need to. To do this process, I buy the half sheet paper towels. I cut the half sheets into quarters. That was 4 sheets, I think it was, 4 half sheets that I cut down. I fold them up so it's handleable. Again, use plenty of abrasive paste if you choose to use it, but don't waste it. It doesn't take gobs and gobs. You don't have to use half a jar on a project this size. I don't think we've mentioned what size this is. I believe it's about 11. No, it's about 10 1/4. Started out at 11. I've cut it down. 10 1/4 by 2 is what we are. On this is apple. It sands very, very nicely, and you can see even just by applying the abrasive paste, the colors on this wood are just beautiful. The grain is very, very nice. There we go. What I want to do is get this completely covered. I'll work it in just a little bit by hand. We'll turn the lathe on slow, even slower than what we sanded at. I'm going to go ahead and get that outer edge as well. I have sanded it, but I'm going to sand it some more, but I'm still going to go ahead and put this abrasive paste on here. What this paste will do, we sanded to 320. This paste will pick up at that point, and we'll actually take it up closer to 1,000 grit, maybe even a little higher. But it gives us a bit of a preview, and really, honestly, what I should have done was to put some sanding sealer on here. That would have kept some of the oils and whatnot that are in the abrasive paste from soaking into the wood quite as much. Turn that down, 250. I'm going to use the same section of the paper towel, and I'm going to keep the paper towel moving, but also the wood spinning itself between the two. This will make sure I don't miss any areas. Bring that surface right down to a very fine preparation state, ready for whatever finish we're going to use. I know this is really exciting, but for those folks who wanted to see this, I'm going to show this portion of it. The sanding is just the same thing. It's lather, rinse, and repeat through all your grits. Like I said, I go 60 to 320. I do 60, 100, 150, 240, 320. And then we break out the abrasive paste. This abrasive paste then will take it dust-free all the way down to about 1,000 grit. Or we'll speed that up to about, and these numbers don't matter, I'm just speeding it up. The abrasive is wearing down. I can feel it, I can hear the difference. Still using that same area of the towel. What happens is the abrasive that's in this paste breaks down finer and finer. And so I just keep using that same area. Speed it up one more time. You may be seeing little bits of paper flying off of here. It's because it's abrasive, and I'm using a paper towel that can't stand up to it. So we are abrading the surface of this bowl, making it softer and softer. I've gone 3 times and speeded up. Every time I have felt like the abrasive has gone about as far as it might do, I have raised the speed up. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to turn it around so that I have a clean piece of towel. I'm going to speed it up again. There we go. What I'm looking for is of course I'm going to get paste there. Haven't gone around that edge and cleaned it off at all. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and get a clean piece of paper towel. But we're going to keep speeding up, but as we do, we're going to change to a clean piece of paper towel. And the whole point that we're here, what we're looking for here, the target we're looking for, is for this paper towel to come off absolutely clean. It's quite dirty. Got quite a bit of abrasive paste still on there. Just a little bit more. Another clean area. I've switched from here to here. There's still some on there, so the abrasive and the oils and waxes with the sanding dust are still on the surface, and all that affects your finish in the end. This is really starting to feel very, very smooth. Just a little faster. Getting some pretty good speed going on here right now. You may be able to see a little bit of shine coming out. Yeah, we still got remnants of paste on here. Refold it so I got clean section. Wow, still coming off. Probably put too much of the abrasive paste on here. I asked that question one time, is it you know, what is it? Is it the surface of the wood holding the paste, or is it, you know, why is it sometimes that it takes longer to get a clean paper towel than others? And the response was, more than likely, it was a matter of how much paste was put on to begin with. And so I'm going to assume that I just simply put on too much when I have to go to get it clean. However, that also means I've worked that longer, and it has abraded that wood finer and finer and finer. I'm not feeling any drag at this point, but I am getting a little bit of remnant. This time may just do it. Yeah, one more time it looks like. Do I have any? Yeah, I've got some clean towel left. Wow, that feels good. Starting to get a little bit of a shine on the wood as well. All right. Told you a while ago the normal process is to put some sanding sealer on there, let it dry, and then you use the abrasive paste. I forgot the sanding sealer this time. A lot of people will put that on the lid. Now, one of the things you have to watch out for when you use abrasive paste or waxes, either one, is if you have any voids like these little wormholes, that paste settles down in there, and you need to get that out, because when it cures out, so often it cures out white and it just looks ugly. And so whether you take an air hose and blow it out, or a dental pick like I'm using, whatever it is that you need, you want to get that out so that you don't have those remnants left over. We'll have to do the same thing when we wax this. Wax looks even worse. Get out what I can, and then I'll use the air hose to blow it out. Okay, we're good there. All right. One of the handiest tools I ever bought was that package of dental picks. Sorry if this is loud on the video. All right, that's got that. Was debating with myself on doing something else, but this is we're going to keep this with sanding. I'm not even going to do the polish. Just know that I'm going to be coming back with a polish. That's the end of the abrasive process. The abrasive process is the sandpaper and the abrasive paste, and that's what it takes. There is no quick sanding process. It takes time. My way of thinking, it doesn't matter how smooth. It does matter. You cannot turn this with your tools, in my opinion, smooth enough to start with your final grit of sandpaper. If you do, you're increasing the chances of there being a flaw in the finish once you think you have it done. When I first got started, there were so many times when I thought I was finished with a piece, take it inside, look at it the next day, lo and behold, there's a big blotch on the sidewall, or a big spot in the center, someplace where I had not gone back far enough in my sanding process. I hadn't gotten rid of that before I went on to the upper grits. That first grit, whether it's 60 grit or 80 grit, whatever it is you start with as a routine, you need to use that and use it till there are no flaws whatsoever, till everything is exactly the same. And when you do, you end up with a finish. Here it is with nothing on it. That sanding paste is not a finish. This looks good, feels good, it looks good. There's not a thing wrong with that. It is ready for finish at this point. Well, I hope this has helped. There have been some folks who have asked, and so I just wanted to give those tips, those pointers, how I do the process. Everybody is different. You'll talk to others who say if you turn it well enough, if your bowl gouge is sharp enough and you have good enough tool control, you can start at 320 grit. Well, I disagree, but that's how they do it, and that's okay. They would disagree with me because that's how they do it, and this is the way I do it. If you want to follow my advice, great. And if you have more questions, I'll be glad to answer those. You can contact me here in the comments. You can find me on Instagram as well. I'm not that hard to get hold of. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have, share with you what I know, and if I don't know, we'll try to figure it out together. Well, this is Doug here in Wood Spun Round, and until we meet again, I hope you're able to spin them round.